In 2010, an enigmatic figure emerged on Japan's infamous two-channel forum, igniting a wave of intrigue and skepticism with a startling claim. He was a time traveler from the year 2062. His anonymous post, written in fractured Japanese interspersed with cryptic symbols, warned of impending disasters, beginning with the chilling directive, "Run to the mountains." At the time, the message was dismissed as yet another internet hoax, a common trope in a space rife with fictional horror, stories and attention-seeking pranks. But 4 months later, on March 11, 2011, the catastrophic Tōhoku earthquake and tsunami struck northeastern Japan with devastating force, killing tens of thousands and reducing coastal towns to rubble. The disaster's timing, and its eerie alignment with the stranger's warning, transformed online mockery into widespread unease. Skeptics and believers alike revisited the post, dissecting its ominous symbols, which had been partially decoded to reveal the urgent plea to flee to higher ground. For many, the coincidence was too stark to ignore. The self-proclaimed traveler's credibility surged overnight, casting him not as a troll, but as a harbinger of apocalyptic truth. The figure, dubbed 2062, resurfaced in July 2011, shortly after the disaster, but offered no further clarity. Instead, he cryptically promised to return in April 2016, hinting at another major event. True to his word, he reappeared on April 15, 2016, one day after. A powerful earthquake devastated Kumamoto Prefecture, killing dozens and displacing thousands. This pattern repeated. He vanished again, leaving only a date, May 17th, before another tremor struck Ibaraki Prefecture on May 16th. With each disaster preceding his scheduled return, the online community grew increasingly convinced of his legitimacy. During these brief appearances, 2062 elaborated on his origins, revealing that future humanity had mastered time travel through devices like the vicious 5000 AOs for forward jumps and plusneck 6290 eyes for revisiting the past, all governed by a shadowy Temporal Management Bureau tasked with preserving timeline integrity. He emphasized strict rules, no altering history, no exploiting future knowledge, and no revealing specifics that could trigger paradoxes, violations punishable by erasure from existence. Yet 2062's gravest warnings centered on a looming global catastrophe. He prophesied a third world war before 2030, ignited not by nuclear arms but by chemical weapons, with Asia as the epicenter. Decades of unresolved tensions between unnamed nations would erupt, dragging the US, Russia, Europe, and the Middle East into a conflict of unprecedented scale. Japan, he claimed, would teeter on annihilation, its cities reduced to toxic wastelands, and its population scattered as refugees. His final messages, left before vanishing permanently in 2022, pointed to 2024-2025 as a critical juncture. A July 4, 2025, mega-earthquake off Japan's coast, and a cryptic major event in 2024. The latter year saw record heat waves, Typhoon Yagi, Hurricane Milton, and catastrophic floods in Afghanistan, events some now interpret as precursors to his prophecy. Though 2062's identity and motives remain shrouded, his story endures as a haunting blend of internet myth and chilling synchronicity, blurring the line between fiction and foreboding reality. Whether an elaborate hoax or a fractured glimpse of destiny, his warnings compel an unsettling question. What if the worst is yet to come? The purported connection between a mysterious figure's predictions and a series of seismic disasters in 2016 has sparked significant intrigue and debate, particularly due to the eerie alignment of these events with his public reappearances. Central to this narrative are two major earthquakes in Japan: the devastating Kumamoto earthquake in April 2016 and the Ibaraki tremor in December of the same year. The Kumamoto earthquake, a catastrophic magnitude 7.0 event, struck the island of Kyushu, claiming dozens of lives, displacing thousands, and causing widespread destruction to infrastructure. Mere days after this disaster, the individual in question resurfaced publicly, reiterating his earlier warnings about impending calamities, and framing the earthquake as a validation of his prophetic claims. This timing, perceived by his followers as more than coincidental, deepened their conviction in his alleged foresight. Later that year, the Ibaraki tremor, a magnitude 6.3 earthquake that rattled the Kanto region, further fueled this belief. Though less destructive than the Kumamoto disaster, its occurrence just hours before the figure's scheduled reappearance was interpreted as a deliberate sign of his credibility. Followers noted a disturbing pattern. These disasters consistently unfolded approximately 24 hours prior to his promised returns, a synchronicity that many regarded as evidence of a supernatural or preternatural link between his presence and seismic activity. Critics, however, argue that such correlations are the product of selective perception and confirmation bias. Japan, situated along the volatile Pacific Ring of Fire, experiences frequent seismic activity, with hundreds of detectable tremors annually. Statistically, the likelihood of earthquakes coinciding with arbitrary dates, including those tied to a self-proclaimed prophet's schedule, is not insignificant. Yet for his adherents, the specificity of the timing transcended mere chance. They emphasized that the figure had not only predicted the occurrence of disasters, but had also allegedly pinpointed their temporal proximity to his public appearances. This narrative gained traction in online communities, where anecdotal accounts and viral posts amplified the mystique surrounding his predictions. The psychological impact of these events cannot be understated. In the aftermath of trauma, individuals often seek patterns or explanations to regain a sense of control, and this figure's claims provided a framework for understanding seemingly random tragedies. The phenomenon also raises questions about the broader societal implications of such beliefs. In the wake of the 2016 disasters, the figure's following grew substantially, with some devotees attributing their survival to heeding his warnings. Others, however, criticized the exploitation of tragedy for personal influence, accusing him of capitalizing on fear and vulnerability. Scientists and seismologists repeatedly underscored the impossibility of precisely predicting earthquakes with current technology, dismissing the claims as pseudoscientific. Nevertheless, the interplay between natural disasters, human psychology, and charismatic figures highlights a recurring theme in history: the tendency to ascribe meaning to chaos, even when evidence suggests otherwise. Whether viewed as a cautionary tale of misinformation or a testament to the power of belief, the events of 2016 underscore the complex relationship between perception, reality, and the stories we construct to navigate an unpredictable world. Future time travel, as described by the enigmatic figure from the year 2062, hinges on two specially engineered devices: the Vicious 5000, which propels its passenger forward along the temporal axis, and the Plus-Nec 6290, which enables a return journey into the past. Neither machine is privately owned. Both remain under the ironclad authority of a global oversight organization, known as the Temporal Management Bureau. This bureau exists to safeguard the integrity of history itself, enforcing a codified set of temporal laws designed to prevent travelers from inadvertently or intentionally disrupting the causal chain. Under these regulations, no traveler may reveal future knowledge to those in earlier eras, for fear that even a single disclosed fact might divert the course of events. They may not interfere in any historical moment, no rescuing of doomed individuals, no investment in future markets, no steering of political outcomes. Should a temporal voyager break these sacrosanct rules, the timeline's self-preservation mechanism activates. The offender is systematically erased, as though they had never existed, and all memory of their actions is scrubbed from reality. Time, in this model, is not a passive linear corridor, but an active, self-regulating structure with a kind of collective awareness. Any anomaly that threatens to fracture its continuity is neutralized, eliminated from the record, body, and mind by forces built into the fabric of time itself. Although these restrictions frustrate those yearning for more concrete revelations, coordinates of future stock market triumphs, or warnings that might avert catastrophe, they explain why the time traveler's interventions have remained cryptic and limited. Each brief appearance, each carefully measured warning, must conform to the Bureau's strict limits on both duration and disclosure. Travelers may only remain in a target era for a finite window. Overstay, and the machinery of temporal enforcement will remove them. In this way, the vicious 5000 and plus NEC 6290 serve not only as vehicles through time, but also as instruments of discipline, ensuring that the timeline retains its coherence. The overall system, the devices, the Bureau, and the built-in erasure protocol, forms a comprehensive defense against paradox. It preserves history's flow much as a biological immune system protects an organism, excising threats before they can metastasize. This paradigm of time travel underscores a sobering truth. The past, present, and future are inextricably linked, and any attempt to tamper with one risks unraveling them all. World War III looms as an unsettling forecast for humanity's near future. Rather than erupting from a single cataclysmic incident, this global conflict is said to emerge from decades-long, festering hostilities between two unnamed Asian nations. According to the warning, these unresolved tensions will finally ignite before 2030, unleashing a cascade of chemical warfare so horrific that entire regions, beginning with Asia, will be transformed into uninhabitable wastelands. Japan, in particular, stands perilously close to eradication, its cities reduced to rubble, and its population scattered in a mass exodus of refugees. From there, the conflagration will spread outward. The United States and Russia drawn in by alliance obligations, the oil-rich nations of the Middle East caught in the crossfire, and much of Europe devastated by waves of chemically tainted strikes. Unlike nuclear firestorms, these chemical weapons promise a slow, agonizing destruction. Poisoned air, contaminated water supplies, and landscapes rendered barren for generations. Simultaneously, the years 2024 and 2025 are cast as a pivotal, turning point on the road to this apocalypse. The globe's climate systems have already begun to revolt. 2024 shattered all previous temperature records, turning summer days into furnace-like ordeals and triggering cascading failures in agriculture and infrastructure. Superstorms followed, in rapid succession, Typhoon Yagi carving a deadly path across Asia's coastlines, Hurricane Milton laying waste to communities in the Americas, and catastrophic flash floods inundating regions from Afghanistan's mountain valleys to the plains of Europe. Each disaster, in isolation, was record-breaking. Taken together, they form the opening salvo of nature's own chemical assault, weakening societies and fraying the bonds of order. Yet amid these convulsions, one final warning remains unfulfilled. On July 4, 2025, a major earthquake is predicted to strike off Japan's coast. This seismic event, foreseen with uncanny precision, would not only devastate coastal populations, but also trigger a tsunami capable of compounding the humanitarian crisis already wrought by war and climate collapse. It is this convergence of man-made and natural cataclysms, global chemical warfare, climate-driven superstorms, and a colossal quake that marks 2024-2025 as the first true inflection in the prophecy. Should these warnings prove accurate, the world will find itself hurtling past the point of no return, grappling with simultaneous emergencies on an unprecedented scale. The intertwined specters of geopolitical breakdown, environmental meltdown, and geological upheaval paint a stark portrait of a future in which civilization's very foundations are tested, and perhaps shattered, by forces both human and elemental. After the year 2022, the enigmatic time traveler known only as 2062 simply vanished, leaving behind nothing but a handful of cryptic, coded warnings that have defied every attempt at full interpretation. These final messages arrived as strings of symbols, obscure riddles, and half-glimpsed phrases, each one hinting at events yet to come, but refusing to yield any clear roadmap for understanding them. In the absence of further appearances, believers and skeptics alike have pored over every stroke of the cipher, convinced that hidden within its layers lies crucial intelligence on how to forestall, or at least survive, the catastrophes ahead. Chief among these lingering enigmas is the prediction of a major earthquake off Japan's coast on July 4, 2025. Some view this as the ultimate culmination of 2062's prophecy, the last domino to fall before a dark new era. Others warn that it may represent only one act in a far larger drama, a prelude to upheavals that exceed even the time traveler's ominous track record. This persistent uncertainty has fueled a restless, almost feverish discourse across forums and social media threads. Amateur cryptographers collaborate on decryption efforts, while disaster preparedness communities weigh the merits of bolstering coastal defenses and emergency protocols. Each tremor recorded in seismographs, each anomalous weather pattern is examined not simply as a natural phenomenon, but as a potential signpost pointing back to those unsolved codes. Documentaries and podcasts dissect the timeline of 2062's prior appearances. His uncanny premonitions of the 2011 Tōhoku quake, the 2016 Kumamoto shock, and the Ibaraki tremor, seeking patterns that might illuminate what his final warning truly signifies. Yet for all the analysis, one fundamental question remains unanswered. Did 2062 intend the July 2025 quake to be the story's climax, or merely its opening chapter? If the latter, what greater calamity might follow? Without definitive clarification, every prediction becomes a double-edged sword, offering both the possibility of preparedness and the torment of endless what-ifs. The uncertainty gnaws at public consciousness. Are we racing toward a known finish line, or stumbling blind into an unknown abyss? In this void of answers, the myth of 2062 endures, and perhaps that is precisely its point. The lack of resolution compels ongoing vigilance, turning passive viewers into active investigators and transforming an online legend into a collective quest for meaning. Whether the coded warnings will one day be cracked, or whether they will remain forever beyond our grasp, the shadow they cast over the coming years is undeniable. As July 4th, 2025 approaches, the world holds its breath, caught between the hope that this will be the final prophecy and the fear that far greater mysteries still lie ahead. The narrative's true power lies in its seamless fusion of internet, folklore, eerily precise disaster synchronicity, and an undercurrent of existential dread that forces us to confront the precariousness of human existence. By anchoring the tale in the anonymous 2062 figure, part myth, part digital age urban legend, it transforms a string of uncanny predictions into something visceral and immediate, blurring the boundary between online myth-making and real-world consequence. Every fulfilled warning, from the Tōhoku tsunami to the Kumamoto quake, becomes more than mere coincidence. It is a deliberate strand in a larger tapestry designed to unsettle our complacency and make us question how much agency we truly possess over our collective future. The coded messages and unanswered prophecies serve not only as narrative hooks, but also as mirrors held up to our own uncertainties about climate upheaval, geopolitical collapse, and the unforeseen tremors that might one day swallow entire cities. Yet this story is more than a catalog of impending horrors. It is also a masterclass in audience engagement. By framing each prediction as an open puzzle, an unsolved mystery still unfolding, the narrative invites viewers to become active participants rather than passive spectators. Comment threads swell with theories decoding cryptic symbols, social media shares turn personal feeds into amateur investigation boards, and subscription prompts take on new weight. To stay informed is to remain vigilant against the next calamity. The call to like, comment, and subscribe thus becomes entwined with a deeper psychological impulse to belong to a community united by curiosity, apprehension, and the hope that collective scrutiny might yet avert disaster. In weaving these elements together, the narrative accomplishes something rare in digital storytelling. It leaves a residue of unease that lingers long after the screen goes dark. It reminds us that in an interconnected world, legends can spill out of forums and into reality, that patterns, once dismissed as random, may harbor hidden design, and that our thirst for answers can itself become a force for communal vigilance. Ultimately, by blending mythic flair with concrete calls to engage, the story does more than entertain. It mobilizes a global audience to question, to probe, and perhaps, even unwittingly, to help write the next chapter of an unfolding mystery, whose resolution remains, for now, tantalizingly out of reach.